All right, so the time has finally come. We've got the Cogent dynamic drop-in fork things. These cartridge emulators, basically. They've arrived after 2.5 months of waiting. Thanks, USPS. We're gonna replace the fork seals. We've got some new springs. We got some shock boots. It's gonna be good stuff. So to do this, first thing you're gonna need is coffee, of course. Thank you, Emily, for the hug in the mug. You're gonna need a 5mm Allen head, as well as a 6 and a 12, and then you're gonna need a 8mm, 12mm, and 14mm socket. You're also gonna want a 24mm wrench, and that is to loosen off these caps here before you take it off the bike. Otherwise, you're gonna have one hell of a time trying to get them out. But yeah, let's get started. All right, first things first, let's loosen off this pinch bolt. Just come right off. It's just to hold all our parts. Oh, you can do it, you son of a bitch. Nope. Impact. Okay. Well, breaker bar it is. Slash torque wrench. There we go. Okay, before we take that all the way out, let's loosen these guys off just a touch. Oh my god, left and right is hard, am I right? Yeah, these are barely snugged on, so they should be relatively easy to loosen off. Alright, out you come. You son of a bitch. Possibly, maybe, possibly. There we. Yeah. You see how tight that is in there? It's easier to just friggin' take those calipers right off. It's only 2 little bolts that holds them on. And that way you don't have to worry about clearance as much. One. Where's my little bucket? And actually, these are going to have to come off anyways, because they mount to your fork stanchion. So, if you don't take them off, well, you're not going to be able to take the forks off your bike. Alright, same thing on the other side. So, now that we're over on this side of the bike, where you've got your little ABS sensor down here, that's held on with an 8. And this is held on with an 8 here. You might actually be better off taking the 2 ABS sensor bolts out to start, because this wire sits pretty close to that 14mm and you don't really want to damage it. Okay, at this point the wheel should come right out really right after you take the first brake caliper off. It should come out no problem. Just be mindful of your spacers, they'll fall right off too. We're just gonna put this bad boy right here. So you probably can't see, but what I've done previously is I've installed a little fender raiser for this from Adventure Tech. They make a lot of stuff for the V-Strom. But basically what I had to do is I had to drill another hole in the fender that's slightly higher than this one. So it's actually up here. So the little backing plate doesn't quite sit the way it normally would, so it's able to spin. So it stops it from loosening off, but it also stops it from loosening off when you want to loosen it off. So let's see if we can just grab hold of her here. Maybe. No, not a fucking chance. So I thought I was getting a premium product when I bought the GoPro, but it seems as though every time I start and stop recording, it corrupts the data for whatever reason, and then I lose my previous video. So to get the little fender bolts off, if you've installed that Adventure Tech kit, what you need to do is take basically any kind of Allen key, something straight, something metal, jam it in, jam it in the hole that's above the one that you're using. So in my case, it's up here. And then when you rotate it, the little square piece will actually catch on this, and that'll stop it from moving, and that way it'll actually loosen off. So hopefully that's a good enough of an explanation, because the video's gone. Yeah. This piece here that holds the brake line, you gotta get underneath, take a set of pliers. If you get close enough, you can see it has two little compressible ridges on it. Just give it a squeeze. Why is everything difficult? Why is everything difficult? There we go. All right. All right, so same thing for this Adventure Tech fork brace. That was actually, I think it was like 30 bucks, 50 bucks Canadian. And it really actually changed the way the front end handles. But again, 5mm Allen head, and that'll just loosen this stuff right off. Go. Bammo! That's gone, and fuck, that seal's been leaking bad. And then this should just lift and rotate, maybe, possibly, maybe. We're just kind of winging it. Get the hell out of there, come on! Yeah, totally, yeah, wicked, cool. Okay, so having done this already on the other side, I can tell you the easiest way to do this is to go down here, loosen off those two 12mm bolts on the lower fork clamp, okay? So they're nice and loose. You don't have to take them all the way out, just gotta loosen them. Come up here with the 6mm Allen key. Start loosening this guy off. Shouldn't take very much. And then really, one tap, and it's out. Easy peasy. Okay, so once you get your forks all nice and clean, what you want to do is you want to loosen off this bolt that's at actually the bottom of the fork stanchion. So you can't see it because this is all filled with grease, and you probably got light shining in that window. But it's a 6mm Allen key, but they're friggin' torqued on so tight, you'll have a hell of a time getting it off. So what I've done is I've wrapped the fork in a rag, nice soft rag, put a piece of wood over top. It's a wood bench underneath as well. Tighten down the clamp just tight enough so that I don't think this is gonna rotate. I've put a 6mm Allen key in there, and then I've taken a 6mm wrench and kind of put it on as well. So hopefully I should be able to put enough torque on this to actually crack it loose. Now, you don't want to take it all the way out to start. There we go. So yeah, that took quite a bit of effort. So yeah, just crack it so it's loose, and even snug it back up again if you want. But yeah, and then just repeat on the other side. Okay, so now that we've got this drain bolt cracked loose, and we've already previously cracked this loose, this should unscrew relatively easy. Now, this whole section here is spring-loaded and under pressure from a spacer. Probably not this long. Probably needs to be this long, but it's not. So when you're taking these things out, point it away from your face, and expect it to come out with a little bit of force. See what I mean? This is filled with oil. Of course, it's hydrostatic, not hydrophobic. So every time you get any kind of water leakage into your fork, it's absorbing it all. It's not repelling it, if that makes sense. There's basically two kinds of oil: hydrophobic, hydrostatic. Hydrostatic likes to absorb water. Same thing with your brake lines, it's hydrostatic oil. And hydrophobic, of course, it doesn't like. So that's our spacer. Really way too small. For me, anyways. So what we're going to do is Cogent Dynamics says, or Cogent Dynamics says, that it should take approximately 650 mils of oil, or 600 mils of oil, to do this once it's installed. So I have 1 liter catch cup here, so I am hoping that will be enough. We still got the springs. I need a rag. Or if you're like me and you're lacking a rag and you're not putting the stock springs back in, oh, stock spacer, keep that. Or it's just a washer. Blah, blah. Words are hard, am I right? It's a progressive spring in there. That's kind of surprising, honestly. Alright. Oh yeah, look at that. It's like, it's not black, it's not brown, it's like gray. Oh yeah. So we just milk this bad boy. Oh yeah, just like that. No, not really. Yeah, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna finish cracking off that drain bolt. So we'll soak it in there like that. Yeah. I just heard the damping rod drop. So you can see the damping rods there now. Okay, so the damping rod came out. So now it's time to get this dust seal and fork seal out. So we need a flathead, which is kicking around here somewhere. This will do. So I'll just get her under the edge there. Don't worry too much about it. The big thing is you don't want to put any kind of damage in here, because if you chip it or create a rough surface, you can create it so that every time you put a fresh fork seal in, it just tears it right up. So, dust seal. Bam, gone. Fork seal's held in by this little circlip thingy. Okay. I don't know the best way to get this out, but probably just like that. And of course it's kind of a spring, so it's gonna go flying. Watch your eyes, wear eye protection, all that jazz. Bammo! Done. Now, this is already out, okay? And that is held in by the bolt at the bottom that we already loosened, okay? So to get this to separate, it should just be a couple good, just like that. Bammo, whatever that is. You can tell you're talking to a fork expert here. Let's put that upside down for now. And here's our seal and our bushing, which is kind of shite actually right now. But anyways, we'll put that down. Okay, so I've given everything a quick little wipe down, and I expected the bushings in this to actually be totally shot. And while I'm not 100% sure what I'm looking at, they don't look too bad. Like, especially this guy here. He's still in really good shape. This one I might replace. You know what? This is the... Yeah. I don't know. Do I replace it or do I not? Let's ask Dr. Google. So as per the usual, you know, you take something apart and you're like, oh yeah, I know how to put it back together, and then you get there and you're kind of like, So anyways, that's where we're at. So the bushings are replaced. You just put them on where the other ones are. I mean, I can't make it any simpler than that, guys. It's pretty shit simple. They looked okay, but I replaced them anyways because they were super cheap and I already got it apart. So this bad boy kind of reassembles like this. Now you might as well just take this off. And it's going to go down through the top of this tube. There we go. Okay. And this should go here. So now what's going to happen is we're going to Yeah, perfect. Now, if I've lined this up like at all correctly, I should be able to screw this bolt back into the oh, sorry, I got this battery pack. I should be able to screw this back into the damping rod. Yes, there we go. Okay, time to snug that bad boy down. Maybe, possibly, maybe. Now, of course, use a torque wrench if you got one. I don't really, so... Or I don't have a long enough Allen head for it, so... Bam. Steel bolt aluminum casing, take her easy if you're doing it by hand. Let's throw a fork seal in. Alright friends, so it's time to put some fork seal on. So, this is an all-ball fork seal. As you can see, compared to the old one, they look just about the exact frickin' same. And by just about, I mean pretty much exactly the same. So this is the side you want up. Okay, so let's get rid of the old one before I accidentally put that back on. We got our little fork condom, or a fork seal bullet, I believe they call it. So this just slides right over like that. Just stops you from nicking it. I think you're supposed to put a little bit of oil on it. So we'll just take a teeny tiny little bit of our old oil. Sectional innuendo here. Okay, so that slides over. Nice and easy. Okay, and I should slide right on down. Now, the infamous, how do I get the fork down further, the fork seal down further? Well, my friends, you buy this $70 piece of metal that, oh, and these are 43mm forks, that drives it in. What we're trying to do is we're trying to get it down far enough so that we can get this little coil in. And I'm not quite seeing that lip yet. Almost, I can see it. Let's give that a shot. Let's just compare it to the other one here. Yeah. So, you can see how this one sits real nice in on that edge, and this one's sitting above it. So I didn't drive it in far enough, and that would be an unfortunate thing to discover once you get out on the trails and start riding. So let's pull this bad boy out and drive her in a little harder, I guess. There, it finally happened. It just needed some more manpower to get down there. Now it should sit good. Come on. Seat yourself. Seat yourself. Okay, I just gave it a couple more taps with the fork seal driver, and that seems to have done it. The springs from All Balls don't quite sit in the front the way they do with the stock Suzuki ones. I think that's just the way they're designed, or not designed correctly. Anyways, dust seal I'm reusing, so we're just going to slide that over, pop that down. Bammo, easy peasy. And now it's time to put the springs and the spacers in, as well as the Cogent DDCs. Welcome back. So, what we're doing now is we're refilling this with oil. Fork seals in, dust seals on. The fork is fully compressed, so it'll be like that. You want to bring it all the way down. Put your DDC install tool in. If you're putting the DDC little cartridge emulators in, just get it. It's so much easier. That's what everybody's been saying. just trying to get it seated without its pain in the ass. So get this so it's sitting nice and deep in there. Get this fully compressed. Mark where it meets your fork or your the top of your tube. Okay. And that's going to be our base measurement spot. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to measure, what is it? For me, we want it oil level 140 millimeters. So that's 140 millimeters is actually the air gap is how they level that, or how they measure that. So it's top of the fork here, and then 140 millimeters down is where you want the oil to be at. Okay. All right, so it's oil adding time. We got some nice 5-weight oil here from Fort 9. It was super cheap because you can't ship oil across the border. Now, it should take about 600 mils. There's a liter in there. Now what we're gonna have to do is, as we add this, we're gonna have to compress it to basically milk the air out. So, oh yeah, look at that. Nice and clear, nice and clean. Oh yeah. Okay. Let's add some more. And we can always pour it out if there's too much. It's no big deal. All right, let's see where we're at to start. We're fully compressed, measuring down, letting it sit. There we go. Now we're sitting. And we're not even freaking close. Like, we're still way down here. So I'll take that out, layer down here, and keep on at it. Okay, so I got the oil level at the right height. Now, this is the magic right here, allegedly. So, when we put this in, carefully lower the DDC, orienting the smaller outer diameter locating ring. They both look the fucking same. They both look the same! Oh, nylock nut downward. Okay, easy enough. Nylock nut, bam. Downward, bam. Magnetism, bam. Well, how the hell do I get... Ugh. Well, that was fun. Now, don't move. This is slightly shorter than the stock springs, actually. But the DDC probably makes up for that. Okay, so we'll slide that bad boy in. Splashy splash. Okay, so the washer was on top of this. Let's go with this spacer that they gave us. It should be perfect, but I'm a bigger guy, so we will see. The problem with the stock suspension is it's so soft and undersprung, and there's not nearly enough preload. So when I measure up the preload on mine, it's like, it takes up 50% of the suspension travel. It's craziness. So the bad boy should be seated nice. Now they say in order for this to be seated correctly, extend the fork and measure from the top of the spacer to the top edge of the fork tube. But not quite there. Let's go with the stock spacer. I think that the 10 mil is going to be the ticket. Let's snug that bad boy down and call that one done.